shrinking vastly. I'm no longer able to clearly separate the gold from the dross. No way I will let this slip out of my hands when I have come this far. I could be someone like you. I could be someone like you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Eclectrocasts. This is the first one for 2017. This is Jeff, and I'm here with Case.
Hey.
And both Case. Hey, Case. How are you?
I am.
You are. That's the best you can be. Is just to be.
Yeah.
And we're here with our first musical guests from the country of Sweden. We're very, very happy
Yeah.
to have the trio Eyemouth. We have Marcus, we have Joakim, and we have Hakan from Eyemouth. Welcome, guys. We're happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi.
We're very happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent. You know what, Case? I think aside from duos, because we've had a number of duos, we've had Meter
Yes.
Bridge and Unknown Land. I think this is the first band we've had.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. It's a unique experience for us.
yeah, it feels good to break that boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, guys, we're really happy to have you here on Eclectrocasts. And as you know, because you had mentioned that you have listened to a number of our podcasts, we try to give independent musicians the opportunity to discuss their music, to promote their music, for us to talk about their music and their background and everything like that. So we're really happy to have you guys here. The first question that I want to start with, actually, Case actually mentioned this not too long ago. Where do you get your name, Eyemouth?
Well, some people have asked us about that, and it's actually from the book of Daniel. I think it was 7:8, when Daniel saw a kind of a beast with big horns, and on one of the horn there was an eye and a mouth that spoke those tremendous great things. And we heard that some people interpret it as it was Antichrist. But I'd like to think that it's more like a part of oneself that we all have to relate to. It's not good or evil, but it's something, it's a part of all of us.
Yes, we have to watch what we say, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we are creatures that have everything inside of us. And we have to choose how to behave and what we do say and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, the only thing that I could find online other than, when I Google Eyemouth is you guys is a town in Scotland. And
Yeah.
and so I was like really wondering if you had any Scottish roots or something maybe, but that's...
So, Marcus, could you introduce the other two members of the band and tell us a little bit about what they bring to the Eyemouth sound?
Well, Joakim and I go back a long time and became friends for, I think it was...
Early 2000.
Yeah, early 2000. And we met and you started to play guitar in a band I was singing in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sooner we became Estrange. And then we became Eyemouth. And some month ago we had Hakan here, Hakan Aspnas, to play drums for us.
Yeah.
So this constellation is quite new. But so far we have been busy and doing a lot of stuff.
Very busy.
Yeah.
Could you give us just a little bit of a history of the band? Now, you'd mentioned that you and Joakim kind of put this together, but you've had other members in the band. And did you have a live following? And how, you know, what has Eyemouth actually done in its history up till now?
Well, as I said, we began as a part of Estrange, a synth-pop band. And then we found that our songs didn't fit into that synth-pop, and we started to write new songs, and we tried that as a bit of a change for Estrange, but it didn't work out, so we became Eyemouth. And by then it was my brother David, a part of the Estrange, and a part of Eyemouth. And we had a drummer in 2013, I think. Yeah. And but since then, we started to play live a lot, and we released 4 EPs in 1 year, and I think it was very busy and hectic for us.
Yeah.
So now we've been quite just focusing on a new album and not playing live that much this year.
So can you talk a little bit about your attraction to the EP? Is that like a format that gives you an opportunity to put some songs together without having to spend forever? Or are there other attractions to the EP format? You know, and what really is an EP? Nobody probably really knows, but
Well, it's from the it's from the
It's EP's
yeah,
extended
it's from the
play.
Bible.
Yeah, right, it's from the Bible. EP is from the Bible.
No, the EP. I think our first thought was to release a double vinyl. And then we didn't get the founding as we wanted, and said that, well, we found that 4 songs was a perfect fit for a release. And we had a lot of discussions of how to release those EPs. We took colors and warmth and cold to categorize the different songs, and then we had those scale of cold and warmth, and released them in that particular.
so which
way.
Which EPs are the warm, and or you mean like within an EP you have songs organized from warm to cold?
Yeah.
Or are the yes, okay.
So
So the EPs, the 4 EPs themselves, are not organized in heat index, if you will.
Yes, it was. I think the Flood was the coldest, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So
That's your most recent EP, right?
And yeah, right. So okay, then that's wrong. Nuera Genesis.
Yeah, that was
the cold one, and then we started to get a little bit warmer in the last one, the Flood. Yeah,
warmed up.
Yeah.
I like that overall conceptual continuity. Really, I really do. I like that.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked with our fellow musicians in terms of in terms of temperature of music. We've talked a lot in terms of like visual or narrative, but we haven't had any guests yet that talked about temperature. So, can you talk a little bit more about that concept, because it's a new idea for me. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your thinking.
Yeah, we had a kind of a vote where we.
Each member put a vote on each song.
Yeah, we wrote the name of the songs, and when we said cold, everyone was supposed to
put them in a pile.
Yeah, put in a pile. And it was fantastic because
Yeah,
yeah, we all agreed almost 100% on which songs should be placed where it was.
So nobody got into a fist fight over it.
Yeah, there was some fist fighting, but
it was one song we didn't agree on, I think.
One song you disagreed on?
Yeah.
So it was a very effective way for you to sort out your tracks.
Yeah, it turned out that way.
Together
Yeah.
in, all right.
Yeah.
And so you can do, warm and cold, but also light and dark. Do you guys think in terms of light and dark about your work?
In a way, but I think it's more contrast generally than just light and dark. I do think a lot about light and dark after all. Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, light is a big theme in your music, isn't it? I mean, your lyrics and the tracks that we're going to be listening to, in a number of them, the lyrics do speak about light, like either looking for a light or asking for a light to shine clarity on some ideas or existence, if you will.
Yes.
So, I was thinking about light is a different experience living in a Scandinavian country. I mean, just as an everyday living, then light is for us here even in the northern United States, we're still at a latitude of like 42 degrees, 43 degrees. But you guys are 57, or like you're close to the polar circle, right?
Yeah,
if you will.
Not that close, but closer. Yeah,
closer than us.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So you have much less daylight right now than we do. Like, for example, this morning it was light at the sun rose at 7, and it gets dark at about 4:30 in the evening. So that's very long, I assume. For you guys have much less light, right, in the day?
Well, we haven't seen light yet this day.
Kind of.
Kind of. Yeah, it's been dark all day. Yeah. But we do have 3 hours of light now. Yeah.
The sun is really
3
low
hours of
all the
light.
time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that when it shifts that much, of course, it has a big influence and impact on our lives and our minds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that also comes out in your lyrics, right? While you guys are using light more metaphorically, it also has a very strong literal experience. Like in the summertime, you guys have 3 hours of dark, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Only 3 hours of dark. It is almost light the whole 24 hours.
Yeah,
so
if you go up a bit northern Sweden, it never gets
really?
dark.
Interesting.
Yeah. It gets dusky, right? It gets a sort of dusk in the evening, but it always is light. You need to have very thick curtains to get it dark in your house.
Yeah. So it's still quite a different thing than what we have here in Gothenburg. Yeah.
So that, just to kind of get back to what Case was saying, do you guys feel that just I don't know if it's climate. It's not really climate. It's more of it's really a function of light. Do you think that light plays into your music or your lyrics, or both in any way? That light, either whether it's at the summer where you have a lot of light or the winter where you have virtually no light. How do you think that affects you guys?
Very much. I think everyone who lives here are talking about how they are feeling at this time of year, that it gets much harder, it gets much heavier. So we're all waiting for the snow right now, so that it will at least come a little bit of light that will reflect the moon or something like that, and the street lights. It gets on your mood, and it colors the mind somehow. And yes, I think it has an impact on our writing very much. But as you say, it's more metaphorically. It is.
But your lyrics are very much about searching for the meaning of your existence, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And for example, this song we have, Will There Be a Light? In that case, it's more of how will I receive myself? How will I see myself? Can I see myself in a light in the future? And what kind of light will I be seeing myself as? Because when you live without seeing yourself, you're very, very lonely. I think that's the thing that is most depressing, when you're separated from yourself and you can't really see yourself. So that's the light I'm talking about there. And those ideas probably comes from the light that is absent, like this time of year. Yeah.
Right. It sort of puts you in the frame of mind to reflect on that. And I don't use the word reflect in a facetious way, but, as a way of contemplation. And when I assume that when it's dark so much that you're spending more time inside than outside. And so it leads to contemplation, reflection, meditation, maybe even.
Yeah, of course, but also it gets you kind of, you feel that you have to create, you have to do something, you have to get things out of yourself. So it's kind of a very creative process as well when it's dark, because you can do it instead of lying on the beach. You go and make music instead.
Yeah.
Right.
With that track in particular, it has such a bouncy rhythm. It's very upbeat in that way, and maybe that
it's a happy tune.
Yeah, could that be your hoping for the light? Will there be a light? Could it be hoping for the light? Because it seems very lighthearted. It's almost Beatle-ish in a way, I thought.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, maybe so. I like that way of seeing it. Yeah. Yeah.
But even
we're all light men.
Yeah. But even in that track, even the the chorus, if you will, which is about being alone, but even that sounds kind of upbeat. So and some of your
but yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking about being alone is not always some a mental state that you want to get out of, because many times it's both creative, and though you might feel down over it, you can still feel some kind of vivid thing about it, that you're very alive.
Yes,
So
I think that's true.
That's more an experience of solitude, right? Solitude is a peaceful aloneness rather than loneliness, which is an unpleasant kind of aloneness, if you will. So
but sometimes even that unpleasantness can be directed at something and help you through in a way, I think.
Yeah,
that's very true. Why don't we listen to "Will There Be a Light"? Let's take a listen to that, and then I think we have a couple more questions about it. I know there are a couple more things we want to discuss about that real quick. But everybody, we are talking to the lads from Eyemouth here. We have Marcus, we have Joakim, and we have Hakan, and we are going to hear a track of theirs called "Will There Be a Light" on Eclectrocasts.
Will surface above the bottom creatures. If I would die along the way, if I do something stupid to myself, would the light still be shining?
Okay, so this, from the tracks that you guys have sent us, this is my favorite, I have to say. Like we spoke before we listened to this, it's I do like the contrast between the music and the message of the text. And I like how you explained how they're not necessarily contradictory. And that was something that that I was wondering about, is that in, your lyrics seem to be very inwardly focused, seem to be very existential in nature, but your music is very outwardly focused, very expressive. And you use a lot of layers and instruments, but your music doesn't get overwhelming. There's a lot of little accents, sometimes a quick chord of a guitar with a tremolo on it. You do seem to have a fondness for tremolo. In one of the tracks, the voice is using a tremolo, like almost like a vibrato tremolo kind of effect. But can you talk a little bit about, the apparent tension, but it may not, and I have a feeling that's not a tension for you, but the tension between sort of the content of the lyrics versus the content of your music. And why does that work so well together? Because they seem to almost be like two pendulums going in opposite direction.
That's very exciting. Two pendulum going in the... when I do start to create a sound universe or some atmosphere, I almost parallel go with the lyrics. And I don't think that one thing lead to the other. But I do think that one thing lead to the other, even though they are very separate. So I think you might be right. Yeah.
If I don't know if you guys have a background in physics, but I do. And if you put two pendulums, they don't even have to be in the same system, but they have to be near each other, and they're not in phase. Eventually, they'll end up in phase.
Yeah, for a little while.
So if you start... Yeah.
But then they'll end up not in phase.
And then they go out of phase again. And it's kind of almost the way your lyrics and your music works
That's
together.
very beautiful.
So another thing that struck me is that you don't have a traditional verse, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, 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 chorus.
We skip one chorus there in the end.
But that's all you need, really.
But it's like for example, pendulum is not a traditional, verse, chorus structure. There are crescendos in there, and it certainly, reaches a peak, and then it starts all over again. So can you talk a little bit about how you guys develop song structure? I think you do some very interesting things, and it would be great to hear from you how you go about it.
Well, of course we love crescendos, and I think it's more like a circular pattern that after a crescendo there is a new beginning, and probably building up for a new crescendo and then a new beginning. I heard someone say that that's a male pop song way to write songs. U2 and who else? Coldplay, Radiohead does that a lot, and that it's building up an orgasm, and it's just guys who are doing this. But I don't think so. I don't think we have that approach, but I think it's more of that circular pattern that we like very much. I mean, I love instruments with a circular sense to it, like a harmonium where you can build air and blow air, and that never stops. It's just a circular pattern, and hurdy-gurdy, that you circle. That kind of sounds is very interesting to me.
Right. So it has an inherent rhythm, right? So it is more about the circular rhythm for you. Yeah.
Now, on Pendulum, I thought there was a drone that was made by a violin. Was it a different instrument?
Well, if we think about the same, it's my father who's playing the saw with a bow. You know me? Oh. Yeah.
That's probably what it is. It's in the beginning. It starts in the beginning of the song.
And it's also me playing the accordion on the same note. So it's a mix of those two sounds.
That's fantastic.
Very nice.
And accordion as well have this circular
Yes, because you're the bellows. You're just constantly moving the bellows. So the air is,
and that's and that's fantastic. I guess the title pendulum is very appropriate then, because a pendulum is a harmonic motion, right? It could be thought of as representative of a circular motion.
Well, it probably does move in a circle. It's probably not on a line. It's probably more of an ellipsis when it moves.
Yeah, and if you could move it all the way, it would be a circle.
Yeah.
But it is that sort of, it's kind of also then the circle of life, right?
I'm just trying to say it in different words, but it's the circle of life, of course.
And that is something that I found very touching in Pendulum. That this idea, in sociology, to talk about this idea of social reproduction, that we're sort of bound to repeat, our culture, repeat our upbringing. It's very difficult to escape from. And I had a feeling that Pendulum was a lot about that, about being locked into a cadence in life, this circle of life that is very difficult to make your own, that your culture or your upbringing or where you live sort of imposes a sympathetic swing on you that you have very little choice but to get into.
I mean, that's very beautiful said, because I think it captures what I'm trying to say with the song.
So part of the lyrics that really touched me says, the pendulum it swings to the point where time stands still, and Jesus waits with open arms, arms that I once used to fear. Can you talk a little bit, because in other parts of your lyrics, you also talk about fear. There's another track where you talk about a 17-year-old dealing with fear of losing oneself. I have a feeling that that's what it is about. But can you talk a little bit about the theme of fear in your work?
Maybe most people feel that fear. I don't know, but I have always felt that fear, and I always been afraid of when I was brought up in a Christian home, and I was very afraid of the church, and I never felt at home at all. And but later in life, when I was about 17, I I understood that I have to take the way I see things as fundamental and give all that stuff I don't believe in away. But on the other hand, sometimes I feel that you have to clean the table and turn everything upside down and see what happens, because only then you can get to know yourself better if you start at a blank page somehow, mentally at least, in a way. So I think the fear is never finding the one I want to find in myself.
Right. Right. Very interesting. Hey, let's listen to Pendulum. I think we can listen to it now with a lot more depth than we have been able to do before. Marcus, thank you so much.
I think you have really good depth in it before too.
Thanks.
Good. So we're here with the guys in Eyemouth. We're here with Marcus. We're here with Joakim and Hakan, and we are going to listen to a track called Pendulum on Eclectrocasts.
I'm no longer able
Now, Joakim, we've been talking to Marcus pretty well exclusively about these songs, but I can't now. I know that everybody always assumes that the singer writes everything, but that's not always true. Where do you stand, Joakim, from a compositional standpoint? We pretty well assume that Marcus writes the lyrics.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Do you contribute to the compositions musically in any other way?
I guess that's more of a, in terms with the arrangements and stuff. When Marcus made this, makes his demos, I'm usually the one that Marcus kind of uses as a, I don't know, reference for ideas and stuff, and discussion. So I kind of try to make my inputs there, not lyrical.
And when you come up with a part, probably you write your own parts too. Yeah. Guitar parts, bass parts.
There usually are parts on the demos, but mostly they kind of end up in a different way when I'm done with them.
Yeah, because you're interpreting them for yourself.
I got to do that because it's kind of hard to, especially with the bass lines, kind of impossible for me to play them as Marcus have done them to begin with. So I have to interpret the stuff and redo them.
But on our next album, you've written songs as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's the first time that I have songs with an Eyemouth, so it's kind of new to me.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, Hakan, we haven't heard much from you, but could you tell us a little bit about your musical background? You know, you're a drummer. When did you start playing drums? Who did you listen to? What drummers did you like, and do you like? And what do you think your style is? What kind of drummer do you feel you are?
That's a lot of questions. I'm a bit older than these guys, and I started playing drums in the beginning of the 80s. And that was the punk scene I was involved with. This British anarcho-punk scene and hardcore. So I started there, and it was pretty fast music.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, and then I changed. I heard a song by a band called Bauhaus that changed my life of seeing music. So I stopped playing punk and started to play goth music.
Yeah. What song by Bauhaus?
She's in Parties. It's a very
Isn't
good
that a
song.
great song? Oh, I love that song. It was their swan song, really, pretty much. But
the earlier stuff.
In a lot of ways. Well, from the classic era. Yeah. So you went to goth, and you played in goth bands then?
Both from where I come from middle of Sweden, and then I moved down to Gothenburg, and there was a lot of music going on here. I played for some years, and then I decided to become a photographer, and then I stopped playing music. So I haven't been playing for 17 years, I think. And then I started this summer, bought some digitalized drums, and I haven't played much drums before here when I started in Eyemouth. So I have been working very quickly, everything, and now I have to learn again.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear your contributions to the new recordings. That's
it is
be
great.
Really.
That's really the way we met, me and Hakan, because you were having me doing some jobs for your old punk bands in the studio.
It was
you were
a
releasing
band called Asocial and Distrust, who's getting released again now on an Italian label. And it was in Marcus' studio called All Harmonic Studio that we did some mastering for these releases. And then we started to talk about music, and you played some Eyemouth songs, and I really, really liked it. And then the question comes some months later if you wanted some acoustic drums in the band, and now I'm here in the band. Yeah, it's fantastic.
So it's always really important that drummers and the bass player like really hook well together, right? So it's the basis of modern music, right? It's the least appreciated and least understood element of modern music, I think. But bass and drum, I mean, it has its own genre right now, fortunately. But so how do you, and I assume, Joakim, live, you play the bass, or is the bass done electronically via keys? When you guys play live?
No, I play. Yeah, I played bass live mostly, and Marcus plays guitar. But we haven't played live with Hakan yet. No. So, we mostly record stuff.
So how do you guys go about, feeling out, working together? How do you do that?
I guess we talk a lot about music and how we are supposed to do things. But I don't know. It's new to us.
Very new.
Yeah. And so far, we've had some ideas that we have explained to Hakan. And then we have recorded, what is it now? 8 songs. Yeah, 8 songs, I think. Yeah. So we have 4 songs more.
Wow. Fantastic.
Any idea when you are releasing this work?
Hopefully in February, March, or something like that.
That's probably a bit early. That's
probably, but we hope.
Joakim puts his foot down. He says, no.
That's too fast for me.
In 17.
Yeah. So, moving on quickly to just another quick topic before we talk about another song. Marcus, you'd mentioned the hurdy-gurdy and the accordion and the harmonium. I know that those instruments are common, or forms of those instruments are common in folk musics all around the world. But I'm curious as to what kind of influence Swedish folk music has on Eyemouth or even Estrange, if any.
As I said, we're not instrumentalists, none of us. So hurdy-gurdy or some kind of keyed fiddle or something that's associated with folk music here in Sweden, it's impossible for us to play. So we couldn't do it. As I said before, I get an idea of a melody I need and I want to play with a santur or something, and then I learn to play just that melody. And but of course it has an influence on our music, because here in Sweden it's inside so much of what is shown on media and things like that. You talked earlier about Pippi Longstrump and
Longstocking.
Yeah. And Jan Johansson, who made the music there, he's a traditional folk musician. And
folk jazz music.
Yeah, folk jazz. So it's here all the time, somehow.
Yeah, and it has that melancholic vibe also.
Yeah.
Especially the Swedish folk music, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes we do make a song that's in triple time, and then it's rather Swedish polska than waltz. So yeah,
kind of a dance.
So
it's a dance.
Of course, it's there somehow, but it's not so explicit.
But you use it as elements, right?
Yeah, I like the elements because it gives a certain tension to it, and I wish I could play it very well, but it is like it is. So I try to blow in my birch bark horn, and then that's good.
It adds in a lot of interest to your music, which has an electronic bass, right? So the bass of your music is electronic. And then by adding in these elements, you just lift out a different kind of atmosphere into your work. And I think I like it. I have to do those kinds of things through plugins, where I have some plugins where I have instruments from all over the world that were sampled. And so I don't need to learn to play the instrument.
Yeah.
I actually have like a MIDI transducer on my guitar, and I can play a Chinese flute or an accordion.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it also has a lot to do with the way we want to work. Because much of what we do could be made by software and things like that. But I certainly like the resistance and that it's a bit hard. And if I take a synth, I don't want to use a software synth, not because I think it's not sounding as good, but it's a lot of more work. It's more work for me if I take hardware synth, and I like that resistance very much because I have to put my soul to it.
Well, you're really playing an instrument then, right? And so when I play acoustic guitar, it's a very different physical experience because the guitar is pressed against your body and you feel the vibrations very differently. You get some vibration from electric guitar, but not even close to having an acoustic instrument or a real instrument. People would probably disagree with me.
Yeah. No, it's music.
Hey, if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to return to one of the tracks that you send us, and it's called "Come This Far." And when I was listening to it, I think this is the track where you talk about being 17 and coming of age and coming probably for the first time consciously facing yourself as a person. But I got a real sense of this track. There's one line in there that says, "I am sinking to be risen." What a beautiful line. As Shakespeare could have written that. I mean, it's a gorgeous line. You write very interesting lyrics, very interesting. But I got this image of the phoenix rising from the ashes.
Thank you.
Great.
This idea of, coming of age, developing an identity and standing up for that, wanting to face that. So do you want to talk a little bit more about that, about the track, Come This Far? And I think, Jeff, you had a couple of things to say about that track as well.
For me, that song is, it's originating in some kind of leaving a destructive way of life, but that's not the thing is after leaving that stuff, and then you feel you need to find a new identification, because when it happened to me, afterwards I still for many years felt that I was that person still, but I didn't just do the destructive thing. But then I realized I have to leave that and see who I am now and how to go on living, because it was too hard to not be able to live out the destructive force. So it was kind of killing that old part of me to be able to go on at all.
And that comes in the several crescendos that happen in that sort of awareness, and I even got a sense of passion in that.
Right. Yeah, because it has to be a passion. I think what I did was turn things upside down. Before I saw, I did what I did because a kind of self-hatred or something like that. And then I did not do that because of self-hatred.
Right.
So I turned it upside down, and then I grew out of it, and I, like you said, a phoenix rising and came out as someone new that I liked.
And that you could love, yeah.
And right. And Marcus, you went through a lot of these changes around the late teens, you say, 17?
This was much later. This was around
much later.
when I was like before I was 30.
But your process, this process, this was not like a single moment in your life. This was a process that began around that time of probably the peak of your adolescence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And where you began to question your religion, you began to question the value of your existence and who you were and your own behaviors. And that's a process that took you like 13 or more years to go through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Marcus, you use a lot of natural nature references in your work. And you know, it's funny because your album cover art is woodland, right? It's in the woods. And, you know, I looked at that and you know what I thought of? I don't know if you guys like this group. They're probably loved by some people and hated by others, but I'm a big fan of the band Opeth, who are from Sweden.
Me too.
You know? And I know if you really like, you know, death metal, they were probably a lot better back 20 years ago than they are now, but whatever. I think
some people here disagree.
Oh, really? Okay. I mean, I love them no matter what. But if I look at their album covers, I get that woodland sense also. And I'm wondering, do artists such as yourselves do you use the woods as a place of solace? Do you use the animals in the woods and the trees and things like that as maybe a place to reset, a place to get away from the pressures of, you know, everyday life? And does that come through in your writing? I know it comes through in your lyrics, but does it come through in kind of your whole conception as an artist?
I think so, yeah. Because now we live in a city and we all grew up in smaller towns.
Yeah.
So it's also from the childhood when we were so close to the nature. We still are. Some of us, you are closer to nature than any of us. Joakim, that is. But it's kind of nostalgia as well as a magical place in your mind to rest and to begin again. Both forest and nature and animals. So it's not just in the lyrics. I think it's in our everyday life.
And it links also back with what our prior conversation about using,
interesting,
you know, actual instruments, you know, physical instruments, you know, which has this organic sense to it, which gives you a grounding, you know, rather than these digital or artificial things. So, yeah. Can you guys talk a little bit more about what have been your? I know Hakan talked about punk, you know, and that of course is, you know, I was playing in the 70s and later in the 80s with Jeff, but in the late 70s, punk was incredibly big in Utrecht, my hometown. What are some of your other influences? So, Hakan, you want to talk a little bit about what your musical influences are?
Yeah, I think I have been a lot of the 80s band have influenced me a lot. Bands like Killing Joke, for an example.
Right.
This driving force in drumming, and it's if you tone it down, I think it's kind of melts in Eyemouth music pretty good. Not this driven, this fast and stuff, but kind of same energy in a way. It's a very strong, big force, I think. Some of the new tracks in a way with the Eyemouth, I can relate till from the energy that I felt when I was playing in both punk bands and more gothic bands. I don't know about influences otherwise, so I think I came up with my own ideas. I like playing a lot of toms.
Yes,
It's called in English. I like that very much, and
Tom-toms.
not just kick and snare. I like to go around the drum kit.
Do you tune your drums? Do you tune them?
Yeah, not in a specific way. Just
Until it sounds
natural
good.
tuning.
Yeah.
Until it sounds
Yeah,
good.
you don't go for
Until it sounds
particular
good, yeah.
tuning. Some drummers are very specific about
Yeah, until
tuning
it
their
sounds good.
drums, and it could take them a little
Oh
while.
no.
That's not punk. That's not
No,
punk.
that's not punk.
That's not punk.
It's opposites.
Hakan, you mentioned the tom-toms, and I can hear I can hear special emphasis on the tom-toms in the music of not only Bauhaus, but in the music of Susie and the Banshees and The Cure, early Cure, like, you know, pre Head on the Door Cure, kind of, you know, early 80s Cure. Pornography, definitely. The Hanging Garden, things like that.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
so I think that you mentioned the toms fits in very well with what you have, where you've come from, and probably where you're going. And I want to hear the toms cranked on the new Eyemouth album, actually. Okay.
Toms are also big in the swing era and in you know, early rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, in the 40s and 50s, toms, because those drummers had like one tom, you know, a huge bass drum and a snare and like one cymbal, something like that. So then they got all of a sudden they got these larger drum sets, and they felt like they had to use all of them.
Too much.
Yeah,
I now have 5 toms. I got to use them. Right?
Joakim, how about you? Who inspired you to play the guitar?
I'm not sure really. I wanted to play drums when I was a kid. Yeah, but my parents didn't let me. I started listening to music when I was really young. I'm a music fanatic in every aspect. I think I listen to music all the time. So
me too.
I guess I refused to start playing guitar when I was in 4th grade because I wanted to play drums. So I started later when I was about maybe 19 by myself for a lot of years. But by then I of course listened to a lot of guitar players, but not the ones that people usually listen to, I think. It was more like those guys or women who plays by force or will, more like technique. So but it's hard to say a specific person. Maybe Jay Maskis in Dinosaur Jr. or something like that. Yeah, because he has a really driven guitar.
Sure.
Way to play guitar, but that's not noticed in Eyemouth, I think. It's not the way I play guitar in Eyemouth.
No, actually, the guitar work in Eyemouth is very subtle. And earlier I said that I hear an affinity for tremolo. What do you like, or vibrato and tremolo? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What do you use for? Do you use many guitar pedals or effects?
Yeah.
Or is this like more a post-production decision?
It's a bit of both, I think. We usually put a lot of effort in the sounds on the guitar, even before we record. Actually, what we did.
Yeah.
The sound on the guitar on the former EPs is kind of like decisions in the rehearsal room. Yeah, I think it is.
It seems like you have an affinity for a fatter guitar tone, not a very, not the Fender bell-like tones, but it seems to be more fatty, your tone. Yeah. More Gibson-oriented, more humbucker.
It's exactly like that, actually. But of course, it's a mixing process also.
Nice.
So, when we played live, it was much more like that. It was we weren't that many persons in the band, of course, so the guitar has to come through in the right way also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you guys are very good at creating space for because you use quite a number of instrumental elements, and they never compete. You create wonderful spaces for each of them. And the other thing that I wanted to say about the quality of your EPs is that we can actually understand your lyrics. I didn't need the text at all.
That's good.
I thank you for sending the text, but it is pretty rare to actually be able to understand the lyrics completely. And so you take great care to give everything space in your production. So I really want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much.
It's very nice.
Yeah, I like that too.
One more guitar question.
Yeah.
If it's an easy one.
What is your dream guitar? You know, Jeff and I are both guitar players. Jeff is actually a guitar player. I'm a guitar toucher.
Yeah, me too.
You're a guitar player, Case.
But what is your dream guitar, and what's your dream setup? If money was no object, what would you get?
It's weird because I think I thought of that much more when I was younger. I don't do that much anymore, but I like the older guitars like Hagströms and guitars like that nowadays, but not before. It was Gibson all the way, but it's not that important anymore.
And Marcus, how about you? What are some of your musical influences before we're going to play Come This Far in just a second, but what would you say, who inspired you when you were growing up to get into music, to start playing instruments and singing?
It has changed quite a lot over the years, and I think I grew up very much on synth pop and Skinny Puppy and things like that, and Einstürz and the Neubauten and some industrial stuff, Nine Inch Nails and things like that. But then when I found and started to listen to Current 93 and Coil and things like that, it totally blew my mind, and I found that I don't need any other music. Now I do need other music, but
but so you've moved on to other types of music. What do you enjoy now, Marcus?
Nowadays it is Current 93 and
Current 93 and Coil. Okay, so you're still there. Okay.
Yes, I'm still there. No, but Swans I listen to a lot.
Swans are great, weren't they?
Yeah, Swans are really great.
Yeah.
And Current 93 and Coil.
None of you grew up listening to ABBA.
Of course we did. You can't avoid it here.
Yeah, I know, I'm sure.
There's no choice. I mean, for the whole world, there was no choice.
In the middle 70s.
And probably still isn't. You guys also do videos, right?
Yes, we first...
You've put on some videos on YouTube.
Yeah, we first thought of doing one video for every song on every EP.
Yeah.
19.
Yeah, but it became half that much. So I think we did 8 videos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was all our efforts didn't go to the video. So I put a lot of efforts in our last video, Pendulum. But you think so? Oh, thank you.
Wonderful, by the way.
Because
Yeah. I really, I like, when I play my own music, I see things when I play. Now, if you ask me, what do you see? I couldn't tell you, but it is a very visual, sound is a very visual experience for me. So I like it when people try to give visual expression to their music, and I think you did a really nice job with Pendulum. It's just fascinating. It adds to the music. I really think it does.
Thank you. It's so much do it yourself. Everything we do is do it yourself. kind of feeling. So, but I'm quite happy with the result after all.
But like your music, there is a great attention to detail. There really is. And pride in presentation. And I think that means a lot. I really do. I think that, when you have an idea and you put, even if it is do it yourself, and you go through the effort and the care in presenting it in the way that you want to, that shows a lot of pride in it. I think that means a lot to a viewer and a listener and a buyer too, and a fan. It really does. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It feels very good to hear that.
Yeah.
Good. Well deserved.
Why don't we listen to Come This Far, and then we'll talk a little bit about Estrange, and then we'll ride out on Translucent, the Estrange track.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're with Eyemouth here, and we're talking to them about everything to do with Eyemouth, and this is a song called Come This Far on Eclectrocasts.
I cross the forest and the fields, I see myself from the above, a steady walk while it's creeping down my spine. I wish I didn't know the truth, but this is something I must do, a final sacrifice of myself to myself. At the age of 17, began to torch everything, just to feel the change within. I see the lynx, I see the badger and the squirrel. They nod affirmative, encouraging the deed to be done. There's a tree up on the hill, it grows full of leaf of flames. I stare till I can see but the one I'm becoming.
So, Joakim, you have been working with Marcus, I think at least 10 years ago or so. You said since the early 2000s with Estrange, and you guys are still working on Estrange. And Estrange is decidedly more synth poppy. Can you talk a little bit about? And I don't mean that as an insult or boxing you in, but it does have more of a synth based kind of a band and music feel. Can you talk a little bit about your development with Estrange and how you guys go about create? How do you decide whether what you create belongs with Estrange or whether it belongs with Eyemouth? How do you go about that?
More or less like Estrange kind of became Eyemouth. That's what we thought. Yeah, and then Estrange kind of appeared again. So the main idea was that Estrange became Eyemouth, but I don't know.
Then Estrange raised as Phoenix.
Yeah, maybe like that, because
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's you made a kind of immediately after the EPs were done or recorded. Marcus went on to make a new album, and that became the new Estrange album. So that's what I mean when it comes to the separation of where the songs appear in which band. It's I think it's more or less Marcus.
Yeah. So maybe the Estrange material is material that is just obviously another side of you that's not maybe as suited to Eyemouth, but other parts of you, other parts of your musical self that you want to explore that don't quite fit in maybe with Eyemouth.
Yeah, in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you say, Marcus?
Yeah. For me, it's quite different when I write the songs. Because the songs of Estrange are born generally in a more direct way, and I have a quite clear image how the arrangements and how I want it to sound. And many times it's more of a craft, not in a bad way, but it has a certain structure to it.
Yeah.
And with Eyemouth, it's we are more who contributes to the song. The songs, when I write the songs for Eyemouth, it's more like it's hanging somewhere unseen in the ether of mind. And then I have to be able to grab the fragments and solve them as some kind of puzzle. So the songs are much out there, and I'm reeling them in.
Interesting. He's a secretary for the songs.
Yeah.
like Martin said, secretary of music. Right? They're out there, and you gotta bring them in.
Right.
Yeah.
A channeler. Hey, what is your? So you guys are working on an album for next year. What are your other future plans? Where if we talk to you again 3 years from now, where will you be? What will you be doing?
We have moved to the darkness even norther. But I think our plan and we want to play a lot more gigs.
Yes.
So that's something that we will get started with as soon as we're finished recording this album. I guess then we take it from there, because our goal is to record and play. I mean, we love it. So, and I do have some. I can't choose not to make songs.
No, you can't.
That's good. It's not a choice. Yeah. It's not a choice. Yeah. So, is Gothenburg? Is that a good scene for gigging, or where do you guys have to go? Do you have to travel?
No, it's a very good place for gigs, but you have to reach a certain point to get the gigs in an easy way. but for shows and gigs to go to, it's perfect. Several places to go.
Yeah, it's gig. Yeah.
So there's a lot of clubs and like for in the United States and a lot of towns and cities, much music is not played in large venues. It's actually usually it's a restaurant that puts the tables aside and you can see amazing people play there. How's that near you? What is the general music scene like?
It used to be like that before in Gothenburg, but I don't know. Something changed in the late 90s, I think. So nowadays it's more like smaller clubs, maybe. But of course it's big gigs as well, but those are usually not that as interesting as the smaller ones, I think. But
Sure, of course.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking, because that's Jeff and I've played in bands together, and we enjoy doing the small clubs tremendously because you have a very direct connection with the people.
Yeah.
If you're like up there on a stage, or feel quite separate from everything.
yeah,
I think live music changed in the 90s in the United States when the music changed, when the chart music and the music that a lot of kids were listening to in the 90s turned to more dance-oriented and hip-hop influenced.
Yeah.
That meant that there was a lot bigger demand for a dance club scene than there was a rock club scene.
Yeah.
And the music changed in the United
right,
States, and a lot of these rock groups found themselves with fewer and fewer places to play that were supportive of them for years before. So that's when restaurants started taking over, as there was really nowhere else to play. So you had to kind of make your own gig somewhere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. That's something that is possible, because here many times that's not possible either, because restaurants doesn't do that here in that way.
not anymore.
Interesting.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, maybe you guys can bring it back alive again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. In the restaurant down the street here. Yeah.
Before we ride out on the Estrange track, Translucent, I just wanted you guys to tell us and the listeners about your website. What is your website called, and where can people find your music to listen to and purchase?
We're on SoundCloud, of course, and Bandcamp and Spotify, iTunes, and all of those.
And you have an artist website that we will
great.
put on the Twitter on our podcast website. We always list your connections.
Eyemouth.moonfruit.com.
Yeah. Case, did you have one more thing to say before we wrap up and head out with Translucent?
I just wanted to, if there's anything that you guys want to add at this point.
We would love to thank you for this. It's been very much fun and a great time.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
We're happy to talk to you guys. Absolutely. We're really happy you spent an hour and a bit with us to talk about everything Eyemouth and Estrange. And it's very fascinating, your history, and good luck in the future. Can't wait to hear the new album in, even though Joakim doesn't think February or March, maybe sometime around the spring. We're really looking forward to hearing it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So thanks for listening, everybody. We've been talking with the lads from Eyemouth, and we're going to actually ride out on a track by Estrange, which is really kind of the alter ego of a couple of the guys in Eyemouth. Estrange is a little bit more towards a synth pop sort of sound, and this is Translucent. And thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
But one world is beckoning, greeting me with open arms. I don't look over my shoulder. The dark conditions pulling me. I was tripping on a picture in a book. It was a picture of witnessed my being, fed only on electrical charge. I was downright nothing. Cold as the color of my cell, left to die beyond the prints of time, then started to aggrandize